Beatbox.
Me?
Yeah.
Well, all right, just a.
Dude.
How about you, man? You do it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
come on, man. Let me see what you got.
I don't know if I can though.
Yeah, you can. Let me hear it. Come on.
We'll let you call someone. We're gonna take you down to the station, figure out what he thought you said to do.
Hello, good morning,
Good
friend.
morning, babies. It's early.
It is.
Welcome to the first, best, and only morning show in existence. I'm Anthony Carboni.
And I'm Saige Ryan, and
And-
this show now includes
It's a pizza show, kind of.
bit of a pizza show.
It's a bit of a pizza show, is what I would say. We're sort of a business show, sort of a news show. We're definitely a breakfast pizza show. Folks,
There are breakfast pizzas, and then there's pizza for breakfast. This is just pizza for breakfast.
any pizza can be a breakfast pizza, but it's better with an egg on it.
I think this is
I know
egg
you
yolk.
do. I know you do, but egg on a pizza? Ooh. That's the good.
That's not, and that is okay. Lots of kittens said greetings from a bus to Chicago to fly to Star Wars Celebration.
Heck yeah. We'll see you there.
You pretty excited?
I'm pretty excited. We're in the final countdown. Do.
Do.
And I got to get down there on a bit. I don't know. How about now?
Hey, everybody. We're back, and we got 5 more pizzas.
How about now?
Also, I'm going to have to talk like this for the stream.
Like these.
Not with the accent, just directly into my microphone. At the angle. It's about the angle.
I mean, but you can side talk into it. You should be able to. Sounds good. All right.
In theory, if this is better, that's also very confusing.
I have a theory, and I'll explain it to you after.
Okay.
Hello. It would appear that we are back in some way, shape, or form. Let's pretend. Ready? Pretend something. What are you pretending?
My rights aren't on the line.
That's a good pretend. That's a very good pretend. For
Very
a couple of reasons.
pretend.
Number one, it's an important pretend. And number two, it's very pretend.
Whee!
It may be the most pretend.
Everybody, let's talk about things that matter less. I'd like to start by talking about this very weird thing that happened in Minecraft, because I think it sets the tone for the kind and amount of news that we have today.
I was going to say top story.
Top story.
Top story.
I think this sets the tone for the kind of news stories that I was finding for today's show, because it's pointless and it made me giggle.
All right.
That's it. Minecraft was doing some testing of adding fireflies to the game.
You would not believe your eyes.
Yeah, if fireflies.
Uh-huh.
I can't retain numbers. I don't know what it says there.
Is it 10,000 or 10 million? It's like 10 something. How many fireflies is it?
Guys, oh my God, I'm so glad you didn't know either. I feel
TikTok,
so
how many
much better.
fireflies is it? 10 million.
million
That's what I thought. You would not
fireflies.
believe your eyes.
Thank you, everybody.
10 million fireflies.
Anyways, they were testing adding 10 million fireflies to the game. And the idea was that it was going to be the main source of food for frogs that exist in the game in this upcoming update, the Wild. I think it was just called the Wild update. And then players
Keep going.
who love frogs were like, and simultaneously you heard 1,000 frog lovers' glasses all get pushed up at the same time, and they said some fireflies are poisonous to
10,
frogs.
10 million frogs? 10 million frog fans?
Yeah, 10 million frog fans at the same time all pushed up their glasses.
You would not believe your hands. 10 million frog fans.
I don't even know if this NDI is going to work because we just restarted so many times. Hell yeah. Oh, it worked. What an incredible thing. And everybody got really upset because they were like, actually, some fireflies are actually poisonous to frogs and they should not eat them, and that is bad.
Okay, well, it's not those kind of fireflies then.
So they just,
It's not those ones.
so they just didn't put them in the game.
Instead, they just didn't put them in the game.
Minecraft said, "All right, never mind."
We lost out on cool lighting particle effects of fireflies in Minecraft because
it's Minecraft.
no, but Minecraft has some good effects and they support RTX.
They do.
Yeah, I think it would be cool to see all those fireflies floating around in Minecraft and some. Listen, I hate to. Some terminally online, like I hate to say Tumblr core, but it's pretty Tumblr core to be like,
please, somebody think of my Minecraft frogs.
Some of these imaginary fireflies might hurt some of these imaginary frogs because they might be poisonous. Just pretend they're different fireflies.
You don't even have to pretend. Someone would have to code for them to hurt the frogs.
Yeah, you literally have to put into the game that these frogs will die if they eat these fireflies.
And
that
also,
wasn't
it's
what
not
they
like
did.
your frogs are player characters.
All the frogs in
genuinely think
Minecraft,
it's very funny.
all the frogs in Minecraft are permadeath.
Yeah.
If you have a favorite frog and it eats a firefly and it's the wrong kind of firefly, and there's no way to know, the fireflies are 2 pixels. There's no way to know.
Mm-hmm. How could you tell?
How could you tell?
And you don't get to control the frogs, so
No, and you can't train them. They're frogs.
exactly. So it's literally just up to fate.
How could they know?
So I thought it was very funny. In a developer update, they said that for the new Wild update, they were no longer planning on bringing fireflies to Minecraft because of the fans that reached out and let them know a little information about frogs and fireflies.
You know, I think like this is Mojang like really subtly going, we're going to tell you how annoying this was and let y'all fight this out in the community. Maybe you could self-correct. Maybe you could imagine whether something actually matters before you let us know about it, and then self-correct.
Pat.
Pat. Hey, everyone, here's another piece of news. Is it as big as the Fireflies thing? I don't know. I'm not here to tell you what is big news and what isn't big news. I simply am here to tell you about the news. I cannot editorialize. It is simply not what I do. Are you doing Alex Jones turning frogs gay? Are you putting a turning frogs gay thing into the
I don't know, click the link.
into the run of show right now?
I don't know, Anthony, click the link.
If I click the link and it's Alex Jones talking about turning frogs gay, and it's Alex Jones turning frogs gay. Yep, sure is. Okay. Okay.
That remix? Turn the frickin' frogs gay.
Anyway, in less important news, Final Fantasy IX is getting an animated series, and it's going to be revealed this week.
Ooh. Now, how do you feel about the choice to make it 9?
Love it. I think 9 is the best. I think 9 is the best candidate for an animated series.
Interesting.
I think 9 has the like the story that's most appropriate, the characters and character designs that are most appropriate for an animated series. I think it's going to be very, very good. I'm not a big Final Fantasy guy. I've talked about this before. I don't pretend.
Yeah.
I would never lie about being a Final Fantasy person. I do a yearly charity stream where we play a Final Fantasy game every year, and every year I'm like, this one sucks. And I think that about all of them. Except for this year when we played Final Fantasy X-2, the best Final Fantasy. But Final Fantasy IX is one of those games that I think, it's one of those games where I love the story even if I don't love Final Fantasy.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
What's up? What's going on?
Nothing's going on over here.
All right.
I'm just holding my beverage.
Are you slowly falling apart?
Yes.
But like faster than normal?
Given the state I am in, I cannot answer that.
All right, that's fair. I think it's got some of the best characters. I can't wait to see animated Vivi. Vivi the Black Mage. Saige. You're going to love Vivi.
Yeah?
You're gonna love Vivi with your whole heart.
So I have never played a Final Fantasy.
Mm-hmm. You're fine. You're good. I think you should play I think you should play 10, 2, and 15.
Everyone's going to hate us on the internet.
No, there are a lot of people out there that don't like Final Fantasy. Listen, here's what I'll say about Final Fantasy. I love the character designs. I love bits of the story. I love the aesthetic of Final Fantasy. I simply cannot sit down and play a Final Fantasy game.
And that's okay.
I cannot, except for 10, 2, and 15.
And I support you on that. I do. But yeah, you are going to get us canceled.
10, 2? Yeah, 10, 2. There was Final Fantasy X, and then there was Final Fantasy X-2. Video game numbering doesn't make any sense. One time, I played Street Fighter EX2 plus Alpha.
Yeah.
I played that one time. It's a game.
Yeah.
Jesse PB says, did I Game Shark a few of them for story purposes? Yes. Yeah.
Nice.
That's what you should do. Or find, that was pre-YouTube. Now that it's YouTube, you can jump online and you can be like, oh, I'm going to watch all of the cutscenes and just the cutscenes from Final Fantasy VII. And that's the best way to watch Final Fantasy VII. You know what I mean? Is Final Fantasy X-2 a driving sim? No, it's a Final Fantasy game where you are a pop idol. You are 3 pop idols saving the world, and the leveling up mechanic is done via dress spheres.
Okay, yeah, that does sound pretty dope, honestly.
It's a very good video game.
Honestly, that sounds pretty sick.
Yeah.
All right, I'll play it.
And then Kingdom Hearts, of course, because Donald Duck is the most powerful mage in the Final Fantasy continuum.
All truth.
Listen.
No lies detected.
So Final Fantasy IX is getting an animated series, and the trailer is happening this weekend at the Las Vegas Licensing Expo. They're looking for somebody to obviously put the show out, right? Mm-hmm. Particularly here in the West, they're looking for somebody hoping to sign up with like a Netflix and then they're also hoping to, at the Licensing Expo, find people who want to make merch based on the show.
Yeah. Who do you think does it? Who do you think swoops this up?
Netflix has made a really big grab for anime and video game stuff lately, particularly with Arcane and their entire NX lineup of anime.
Yeah, and then on the video game side, in addition to that, they've also gone for, obviously they had The Witcher, and now they've got the Resident Evil.
Yeah, so I think they're a good fit for it, and also it's an animated series that they don't have to make.
Though I don't see a lot of
they just
Netflix.
cut all their animators.
That's true.
So this is something they could just license and show.
But all of these ones that Netflix is doing are being made, like, with Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting. I don't know.
Very interesting.
Very interesting. I don't know.
Be More Duck says, is 10-2 the one with the ha 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 laugh scene? That is Final Fantasy X. That is Titus. And fun fact, the voice actor of Titus is also James Arnold Taylor, the voice of animated Obi-Wan.
The more you know.
Fun facts. So that's Final Fantasy IX news. In other interesting news, this is very fascinating to me. PlayStation released their PlayStation Plus.
Mm-hmm.
All of their new tiers. You are actually on the new good tier, right?
Yes.
Are you on the very best tier or are you on the mid tier?
I think I'm on the mid tier. Whatever got automatically switched over.
Honestly, mid?
Yeah, I think honestly it's mid.
Honestly, mid. But one of the big deals is all of these classic games, the backwards compatibility. And one of the things that we said is like, yo, I have so many subscriptions right now. Please don't. Please don't. There are a few PS1 games, PS2 games that maybe I'd like to buy and have.
Individually.
But I don't really want another subscription. And a very interesting thing that just popped up, PS1 and PSP games have just started appearing on the Asian PlayStation Store.
Us next, right?
And you can buy it separately. They include all of the stuff that comes with PlayStation Plus. That means they get the up rendering, they get rewind, they get quick save, which is save states, they get the video filters.
We're next, right?
It's the whole big thing. I hope so. This is one of the things that, we've talked about this. This is one of the things that I don't like about the Nintendo expansion pass, too. I want to just buy the ROMs that I want to buy, and I want to have them all the time. I don't want, I don't want a rotating, 1 week I have Earthbound and then a month later I don't have Earthbound anymore,
Yes, I agree.
But
also, I'm a Nintendo simp and I accept that.
Yeah, of course. And And also, I think like for some people, the rotating isn't that big a deal, right? Like for some people, it's like, oh, that's fun. I remember that. Maybe I'll play it. Maybe I won't. And if I don't, I'll catch it next time it comes around.
Right. And it's honestly, the reason it's not a big deal for me is because I have my Retroid.
Yep. That's the other thing is some of us believe in video game preservation and that once you buy a thing once, it's yours. And whoa, Jesse. Okay, now we normally
wait until the end of the show.
Wait until the end of the show to talk about, you know, all of the support. We do a full roll call, but we simply cannot stop the flow of news. But I will say, Jesse PB, that was very, very generous of you. And it is a nice number now.
Nice, very good.
So I'm excited for this. I don't know what the price. I mean, obviously it's not over here yet. We don't know what the price point is going to be over here, but like looking at some of it, we've got Oddworld's Abe's Odyssey, Worms Armageddon, Worms World Party, bless you, and the PSP version of Ridge Racer 2, and the prices range from about $4.49 to $9, because it's obviously it's in ringgit because it's in East Asia. So I would imagine that we're going to get. It depends on this. It depends on what the economy over there is like. I don't know. I think if it's all of if this is the price for all of Asia, then it seems like for us it's going to range anywhere from $4.99 to $9.99, which is about,
works for me.
Yeah, $4.99 for a PS1 game.
I'm cool with that.
That's about what I want to pay.
I'm happy to pay that.
Yeah, with upscaling and save states and look, one of the reasons so many people use emulation is because it's just the quality of life is better.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you make the quality of life and the price point what people want, it's like music piracy. There's still music piracy, but it's like not really. Not to the point that it was at before.
Right. How many of you are, what do you have? What do you got, a LimeWire? What are you on, MediaFire? Mega Upload? The Pirate Bay? No.
Where's that, is it what.cd? Is that still up?
What are you on, Napster?
Are you on Oink? What's going on?
What are you guys doing over there?
Hey.
How are the kids stealing music these days?
I'm basically asking because I probably want to steal some music.
I mean, Spotify steals it for us.
Yeah.
Also, welcome in. We have some new friends joining this morning. Hi, welcome to It's Too Early. We're in a liminal space. It's Too Early does take place in a liminal space this morning.
We're in the dream pools.
Typically, we do the show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We're about to take a tiny little break after today, and I can feel it. So I hope you'll join us again after the break.
Are you?
Comes in once, we disappear. We leave this and then disappear for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Move
this is the impression that we're leaving you with.
This is our legacy.
This is our legacy
for the next 2 weeks.
This is what we're leaving.
Yeah.
For our memory.
We were talking about the way that upscaling is a bit of a quality of life improvement.
Upscaling, save states, rewind, stuff like that. All of that stuff. But this is where I like to think that It's Too Early is happening today.
Yeah.
It's in one of Jared Pike's dream pool art. Oh no.
So Zoom.
It's
you see
so
what I mean?
Zoom.
Nothing works today. It simply cannot.
What if I did this?
Oh, Anthony.
What if I did that? Sort of. For this, I blame Instagram. But yeah.
Excellent. Terrible. Don't look at his tabs.
Did I order a bunch of Jared Pike dream pool art? I don't know. Maybe I've decided my entire apartment needs to be decorated in liminal spaces.
Who could say?
Maybe I feel like my apartment is a liminal space.
But when it comes to things like quality of life improvements to video games, few have required more than Cyberpunk 2077.
Is that... I saw somebody, like a couple of my friends were playing it this weekend.
Really?
And I was like, for what? And some people were like, yeah, this is my second playthrough. And I'm like, how?
What?
How did this happen?
You finished one?
You went all the way through?
Absolutely not. My second playthrough would be starting the game up for a second time because the first time was so bad.
Do you consider a win condition of Cyberpunk when your car drives up into the moon?
Yeah.
Because if so, then I have completed Cyberpunk.
To the moon.
Cyberpunk to the moon. So people, I mean, the updates to Cyberpunk have apparently been good. It's a playable game now. It's still not anywhere close to what they were kind of selling us.
No, it simply isn't. And obviously, like, the two of us were so excited for Cyberpunk. We were very, very into the aesthetic of Cyberpunk, to the idea that they had sold us on for Cyberpunk. And it never quite became that.
Yeah.
You know, we do have some people in chat that love that game, and that's great. I'm so happy for you.
I think some of them are goofing.
No, but we had a couple of them that have, like, played it.
Yeah.
And genuinely enjoyed it seems. So, and we're stoked for you. We love that for you. It never fulfilled the things that I wanted it to. It never became the cool, genderless utopia of underground crime and neon lights that I wanted it to.
Never felt that living city vibe. Never felt like this pedestrian system that they were talking about where it's like, this is a living city. You can, not really.
Yeah.
It was, it turned into a basic open world shooter.
Right. It never had that, like, the cities felt hollow always.
Yeah.
Even going back in now. So, a collection of fans of the cyberpunk genre went into Unreal 5, and they cut together a reel featuring assets that a bunch of them had made together to view what the cyberpunk city could have looked like.
Now, I think that's a fun kind of marketing way to present this, like, clip that you've put together.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, this is easy to do. I mean, we saw CD Projekt Red do this same thing. This is what, their demos of Cyberpunk looked like. It's much easier when there's no actual game running underneath it, right?
Sure, but you also have to keep in mind these people aren't getting paid to do this.
That's true. I mean, that's what I'm saying. As a fan clip showing off Unreal 5 and sort of as a way to market these artists, I think it's a smart thing to put out, is be like, this is what Cyberpunk could have looked like. I think it's a very cool Unreal 5 like demo reel.
I think it's very cool.
But I do want to say, like, they didn't have to put any game logic in it.
Sure.
That's the part. That's the part that'll screw you up.
But what if you had millions of dollars and years of time,
and you paid your employees in tokens?
Right.
Then yeah, you would think that you could put the game underneath it.
That's when I feel like you would have the, like, time and resources for the game logic. But I don't know.
But I'm loving all these Unreal 5 demos that are coming out, specifically because it shows how accessible Unreal 5 is.
Yeah, I think that's really cool.
Like, a lot of people are just, like, sitting down with Unreal 5 and they're like, look what we can put together. It's pretty easy.
Unreal 5 is the first time I've ever wanted to download Unreal.
You are gonna, Saige, you will actually hyper-focus on it in a crazy way, because it feels like sort of like a Sim City or a Sim World where you build the environment you want.
I was just gonna say it would be like The Sims.
And then you hit a button and it just drops a little robot into it, and you can run around your world without even adding any game logic.
See, that wouldn't be good for me. That would not be good for me. My forever cycle of playing The Sims is I hyper fixate on The Sims for like 4 days a year.
Yep.
And then I do not touch The Sims again, and then I hyper fixate on it for another 4 days. I build an incredible house, and I build up a ridiculous amount of wealth in 4 days, and then I go, okay, I'm done now.
Yeah.
I'll bored.
Yeah. I see that. I do that with so many games. So many games. That's why it's like good. Once again, going back to emulation and having our little Retroids, our little handhelds. I spent like a chunk of this weekend just obsessed with Super Punch-Out.
Okay.
I was just like, I'm gonna play all of Super Punch-Out, and then I just couldn't stop because of my weird brain. I don't know why.
Interesting that it was Super Punch-Out.
I'm
not surprised that you hyperfixated on a game. That's of course you did.
Do you know what it was? Is Sungwon was playing Super Punch-Out for charity this weekend, and I watched like a few minutes of him playing it, and I was like, man, this looks harder than I remember, and I wanted to like see how much of it I remembered. I did not remember a lot of it, and it is harder than I remembered. Speaking of other fan-made remakes and Unreal 5, this is pretty exciting. We just said, hey, they didn't have to put any game logic behind this, and that's why it's easy. Folks, I'd like to show you Zeta HALO.
Show us Zeta HALO.
Zeta HALO. We forgot to set up my NDI properly.
Oh, God.
Apologies.
I'll just do it
Can
on
you
mine.
do it on yours? We're having so many tech.
Y'all, it is such a Monday before a break.
This is a fan-made remake of Halo
Ugh,
in Unreal 5,
absolutely stunning.
and whoops, it looks better than anything Halo, including, I think, like, some shots of the TV series I've seen.
Which people are not happy with the TV series.
People are not loving it. It's getting fair to middling reviews, but
It's got some bad ones from last week.
I mean, the Forerunner structures.
These are beautiful.
It's pretty wild.
Wow, I just want to run around in there. I don't want game logic. I just want to run around.
Yeah, Zeta Halo, man. This is wild. I personally think they've maybe gone a lot of people who do Unreal stuff do this. You maybe went a little heavy with the haze and the lighting effects.
I could see that. I think for what this is, no, I don't think that it is. To play a game in, yes, I think it would be heavy on the haze.
Yeah, to play a game, I'm like, okay, you can dial down this filter a little
right.
bit.
If I'm trying to do precision shooting, it's not ideal.
Yeah, but this is beautiful for a walkthrough. Wow. It's pretty lovely. And we should say this frame rate is because of our tech issues, not because this is the frame rate Zeta Halo moves at. It's moving at, a good 30
but it's
to
not
60.
like skipping bad.
No. I'm just saying it's a little chonkier than it is on the Yeah, it's basically all sliders to 100. It's pretty wild, man. It's pretty wild.
Emphasis on pretty.
You can check them out. The creator is Infinite Forges, who is a level designer at Gearbox, which makes sense.
That's great.
They have a YouTube channel, and you can check out everything that they're doing with Zeta Halo.
I can't believe that is not getting more views.
It's pretty wild. I think it just got covered this morning, and I don't think a lot of press has picked up on it yet. I have a feeling it will, because right now Infinite Forges is sitting at 6K subs, and these videos are sitting at like 1K to 2K views on average. I don't think this is broken through yet.
I'm very excited for them. I hope this takes off because that's very cool, and they clearly put a ton of work into it.
Yeah, gosh, it's fun to see. Like, what we've got is these small teams of people that are doing it for fun, and then we have somebody who is a professional level designer showing what they can do in Unreal on their off time. Unreal 5, pretty wild.
Unreal 5. Should I download it?
Pretty wild.
No, right?
I mean,
no, I shouldn't, right?
I don't know.
Like, I shouldn't just install it just in case.
Like, I'm enjoying it.
In case I have a little free time someday.
I don't know. I'm kind of enjoying
like,
it.
Just in case I did.
I don't know. In other big game news, V Rising, the open world vampire survival game,
which I've wanted to get into.
Yeah, it looks interesting. It released on Steam Early Access on May 17th, and it sold 500,000 copies within 3 days of release.
Anthony, do you want to play
a vampire survival game?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You want to run around in a vampire survival game together?
Yeah, where we build our own dread castle?
Yeah.
Yes, of course I do.
Okay.
Why wouldn't I?
All right, let's do it. That does seem very fun.
I mean, look. It's an early access crafting survival game like Blade of Creation is saying. Everybody jumps on these, but it's vampire themed.
That's the thing.
And the other thing is, I think this is scratching that itch. We got a Masquerade game released, right? We got Swan Song. We got a couple more that are in the works, but I think this is showing that it's scratching that itch that that Bloodlines would have scratched for us.
I get that. Yeah.
You know, it's a very different game, but it's that open world. I'm a vampire in a living, breathing world, and I'm just doing vampire stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I think that shows what we want, and what we kind of want is we kind of want that Bloodlines.
What we do want is we want Bloodlines. But I have skipped out on all of the like open world crafting survival games for the last year that have been so big. But once you add the word vampire,
yeah,
you did it. You fucking got me.
A lot of these things have to do with aesthetics, right? Like, I think the last crafting survival game I got huge into was probably No Man's Sky, right? Because it's got that 60s mod sci-fi aesthetic where I'm like, that's the one I want to play, right? I tried Astroneer for the same reason, because it was that bright, low poly, fun crafting survival, right? Most things, like, I don't want to be a Viking. Like I thought about, like people were like Valheim, and I was like, that's cool. I bet it's great.
I don't really want to be a Viking either.
I don't want to be a Viking. I don't want to be, you know how I feel about rusty knights and their old swords. I'm like,
I'm more into rusty knights and their old swords than you are, and even then it's not my favorite.
mm-hmm.
Vampires?
But vampires
Are my favorite.
Das Vampir.
Also, all my friends are playing the Evil Dead game this week.
Ooh, this is the week to play it if you're going to play it, because everybody will have dropped off in a couple weeks.
I know.
I don't know when I'd play it, though.
I know.
This week in particular.
I know.
What are we going to do?
What are we going to do, guys?
What are we going to do about all these
games? How are we going to get to the games before all our friends move on?
Folks, has anybody talked about this before? The gaming backlog problem? Has anybody mentioned this?
I don't think anyone's ever talked about it.
Like having more games than time? Has anybody brought this up?
I don't think so.
Because I feel like it's something we should be talking about.
No one's talking about it. And you know what else no one talks about on Twitch?
What?
Business.
Let me get my business hair
Hold on.
ready.
Wait, let me get my business hair.
Yeah, go get your business hair. Just one moment. You need the appropriate hair to do business. This one little bit. Oh, I don't know. Oh, I don't know how you've ever done any business without that hair. It's perfect.
Hold on, I've got one over here too. There are so many wigs in this studio. Is this my business hair?
I think go back to the other one.
Hold on.
I'm telling you.
Is this my business hair?
No, I think that first one was pretty business. I think.
Hair?
Would you go back to the first one, please? I think that's the one.
Okay, hold on.
I think that's it. Just like you had it on before. I think that was perfect. Yeah, I'm going to take you serious in a meeting. That's the thing. I've never taken you seriously until now. Now is when I'm like, whoa, Harvard, Stanford, what is it? Did you just pass your Series 7? Give me some investing advice.
I did pass the bar in the state of Virginia, which is why I'm qualified to tell you that EA is trying to get bought.
EA wants to be somebody's baby.
Now,
They want to be somebody's little baby. They said, I don't want to be a grown-up anymore. People don't like me.
Yeah.
I have a bad reputation. I feel like I've screwed up my adult reputation, and I just want to go back to being a little baby and be held. I want to crawl right back up in there, is what EA said.
Yeah, so EA...
And I understand.
We all feel that way.
I get it, EA.
We all feel like maybe we were actually not quite done yet. So EA has been acquiring companies. They have been adopting themselves many baby companies. And now they're like, actually, maybe for a change, someone could buy us.
I'm not dad, I'm baby, is what EA said.
Yeah, I think I'm tired of being dad and I would like to be baby.
Well, you know, this is interesting because EA was thought of and still is thought of as one of the big players, and they are. But even they now, when you compare them to something like a Tencent, like a 2K,
yeah, what can compare to Tencent?
What I mean, it's wild how much the gaming landscape has changed. And it says that like they're actively looking. They recently pursued a merger with NBC Universal. They had potential acquisition talks with Disney, Apple, a few other companies. I can think of a couple of reasons why maybe Disney didn't want to acquire EA.
Very interesting. So with that in mind, obviously we talk a lot about consolidation and some of these like bigger companies getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I mean, it's entirely possible that somebody like Tencent comes and swoops up EA.
But it's interesting because these companies are not other game companies. They're companies that you think of as traditional media companies.
And that was surprising to me, seeing the list be NBC, Universal, Disney, and Apple.
What they're looking for is they're looking for something like Gearbox got. They're looking for something like they want somebody to acquire them so they can then have all of these movies based on EA franchises, have these television shows, have all of these like multimedia things that they simply cannot have unless they are part of one of these larger media conglomerates, which is a smart thing, but it's also a scary thing, right? You would like to think that you wouldn't need to be a wholly owned subsidiary of another corporation to make a movie with that corporation, because as much as like a big corporation is a big corporation, we don't like them to get bigger and bigger and bigger.
We do not like for them to get bigger.
And we do like them to work together rather than just keep eating each other up and consolidating into, you know, NBC, Universal, Time Warner, Applebee's, Chili's, Fridays.
Right. However, especially in America, until we enforce any kind of laws that actually prevent these large consolidations and these things that are not quite monopolies, there's no reason for them to stop doing so.
Yeah. Alonzo also brings up another great point in the live studio audience, which is like, they can make more money being bought out, which, like, if you're a senior executive that's been at EA for most of your career, you think about how old a lot of these video game companies are, right? With as old as these video game companies are, the people at the top of these video game companies who have been at the top since basically the beginning are now retirement age. We are reaching the first great retirement age of video games. And it has been during a time of insanely unprecedented growth for any media. So what they're looking for is that retirement fund. They're looking for their investors and themselves to get that golden parachute and fuck right off.
Absolutely.
I understand.
It's very, very interesting to me, and it's happening very rapidly. Like, this has always been a thing. However, in the last year in particular, some of these huge acquisitions are happening so rapidly, and it does feel like people are looking around and like companies are getting like swooped up, and you're like running down the line next to it and trying to stay an independent company, and people just keep getting snatched by the claw.
It's,
and now EA is like, is it my turn?
Is it my turn? Please, the claw. Please, the claw. I am chosen.
Right?
I do wonder when, I mean, look, we saw that the second Sony tried to get in the game, for some reason, the FTC jumped in. Probably as like a show of, look, we're still here.
Yeah, but hey, where were you on the Activision Blizzard deal?
Yeah, it's one of those things where I think it was the backlash, the kind of public sentiment about the Activision Blizzard Microsoft Applebee's, Chili's, Arby's deal.
Yeah.
That made the FTC go,
like, oh, next time I guess we have to do something.
Yeah, they were like, oh God, we really have to be here? Okay. All right, yes. Sony, no. And Sony's like, what the fuck, man? You know, it's like when your sibling does 80 bad things in a row, and then your parents' temper finally flares up when you do something bad.
Yes,
it's just
as
like,
the youngest sibling, yes.
And it's just like, fuck. I guess it was just time.
Right.
You know? It's like playing that Don't Wake Daddy game. You know, where it's like, I don't know when Daddy's gonna wake up, but whoever wakes him up is in trouble. It doesn't matter who else made noise.
That's so funny.
It's really wild. I wish and I hope and I prayed that we live in a time, I would love to see in my lifetime, the blocking of these giant mergers and the breaking up of some of these giant companies, but it feels like only about 3 people in government say they want it, which means only 1 person in government actually wants it.
Right.
And do they want it bad enough to sacrifice their career in government? Probably
Absolutely not.
So it's like, when is this going to happen?
Anyways, corporate consolidation is bad.
Speaking of companies working together instead of devouring one another, Marvel got turned down by Xbox. Marvel basically, the executive vice president and the head of Marvel Games, cut their Activision, talks about their, you know, Marvel used to have a deal with Activision. All of those Spider-Man games from like back in what we consider to be kind of like the golden age of Spider-Man games, you know, like Shattered Dimensions and all that stuff, your 7th gen Spider-Man games, they all happened under Activision. They cut that contract short and they started looking for another home, and Activision was like, what are you going to do with it? You're not going to, good luck finding somebody better. Good luck finding this unicorn is literally what they said.
And
That's
then
a
they
literal
turned
quote.
around and PlayStation was just right there.
Well, they went to Microsoft first, and Microsoft was like, we love this, but we don't have our own IP yet. Remember, this is 7th gen.
Yep.
Microsoft was basically like, we have Halo and Gears, and that's what we have. And we don't know if we want that to define us anymore.
Which, whew.
It was, listen, you had Xbox Live Arcade, which had a lot of great indie stuff. And then you had stuff that was on other platforms.
And it's very interesting because obviously since then we've seen Microsoft take to acquiring tons of companies to make them first-party developers for Game Pass.
But they weren't doing that yet either.
They weren't doing that yet. And it was only by a few years that they missed this. And now, I mean, Spider-Man and Miles Morales have defined the generation of the PS5. I think that personally, like Spider-Man, maybe there would have been something in Spider-Man's place, but I think that Spider-Man saved the PlayStation 5. They had a tough opening on releases. They were very, very late to getting like exclusives. They were very, very late to the idea of having any kind of like, there were very little games when the PS5 dropped.
Excuse me. You got Astrobot free with every PlayStation.
You know what I mean? And they had an incredible first showcase for the PS5, but most of those games still aren't out 2 years later.
Launch was
right?
slow. Miles Morales was an amazing launch title. The fact that you got the remaster of PS4 Spider-Man was huge.
Yeah.
It's interesting. They sat down with PlayStation, and at that time, it was Adam Boyes and John Drake. John Drake, of course, is now at business development and portfolio at Disney. And they were like, hey, I think we can beat Arkham. I think we can have multiple games that could drive the adoption of the PlayStation. I think this could be huge for you guys as it is for us. And like, Adam Boyes and John Drake were like, yeah, no, you're right. And they immediately turned around. They're like, we know exactly the people to do it too. And they handed it off to Insomniac, which is, of course, now a wholly owned subsidiary of Sony. So that's pretty, I mean, Spider-Man is one of the most successful video game releases ever in terms of dollar sales. I mean,
such a good game.
Spider-Man sold more than 20 million copies. Miles Morales sold 6.5 million. Remember, Miles Morales was limited by its launch window and the fact that it wasn't on, you know, a widely adopted console. Adam Boyes left Sony as well. Yeah, he's on his own now. It's pretty wild. And of course, the Spider-Man sequel is coming in 2023. And they have announced that Tony Todd is Venom. The Candyman is the voice of Venom. That's very good Venom.
That's very exciting. I'm very happy to hear that.
So that's kind of interesting. Imagine, I mean, Microsoft ain't hurting by any means, but imagine the alternate reality where Insomniac, straight off of Sunset Overdrive, right?
Yeah.
Turns around and makes Spider-Man for the Xbox. Fucking wild.
What a weird time we'd be living in.
What a strange... Hey, that's what we call a Spider-Verse.
The multiverse is real. And that's how you tell.
The multiverse of money. Speaking of Xbox and their current strategy...
Yeah, you said Xbox isn't hurting, and they certainly aren't. When it comes to Game Pass, I mean, that is, in my opinion, the main reason to have an Xbox right now.
Yes. I think a lot of people feel the same way. One person who does not is Ed Fries, the former Microsoft executive who was basically like the dad of the Xbox. He was one of like him and Jay Allard and a couple of Seamus Blackley, like a few of these people like were really the architects of the Xbox and like the creators of it. Ed Fries was like, yo, this is scary. You shouldn't do Game Pass like this.
Yeah, so he didn't specify what exactly it was that he was afraid of, though I think a lot of us know. We've talked a lot about the potential impact on developers and the way that it can potentially box out any kind of profits, specifically for independent developers, right? And people that are not getting paid to make these games in-house, especially. And if we switch over to this model, how few people are going to be willing to just like buy a game, right? Especially when you get on Steam and a great game like Calico is like $15-20. If you're used to being like, but I pay $10 a month or $20 a month and I get all my games.
All of them.
It can become a very difficult market that can also lead to that kind of monopoly of Xbox owning everything.
Yeah, Ed Fries talked about basically the impact of the Spotify model on the music industry. This is something we were talking about before. And how, you know, artists are getting paid probably less than ever and labels are getting paid less than ever. I mean, a lot of these numbers have been disputed. And also there is the idea of value to an audience and to a market that has to be taken, you know, like one of the reasons Spotify and music streaming took off is because like before music streaming, remember you would hear one song on the radio and you'd be like, well, based on this one song, I guess I'll pay $20 for this full album.
Yeah, I guess I'll get this whole CD and hope I like the others.
I'll just pay for this. I only know what 1/10 of this is like.
Putting it in your car stereo and then skipping ahead to the 6th track because it's the one song that you know.
Yeah. And you know, and here's the other thing. The music industry, the RIAA, record labels, it's arguable that artists are not getting paid much less, or if any less than they were before. It's the labels that are getting paid less, and independent artists are now making more than they ever have.
And like, look, we're in favor of labels getting paid less every single time. And the monetization structure for all things is changing, right? The monetization structure for artists now is a lot of different ways, like social media.
Yeah, I mean, it is very interesting. Like, the way I consume music is obviously very different now. There are very few artists where I'm like, and now I'm going to listen to the whole album, and I know the album, and I know every song that's on the album. Like, that doesn't happen as much anymore.
The artists that I listen to their whole album at the same time are mostly the artists that I owned CDs for at the time, if that makes sense. So, like, I still go back and I still listen to, you know, the first Paramore records all the way through. Because, like, I remember them in CD order.
But a lot of artists also say, like, well, the album is just something that's forced upon you by a contract. What if I just release a song whenever I feel like it?
There's been a ton of people doing that. And I've discovered more artists from TikTok than I had in the last 5 years just being anywhere.
I would rather a musician
radio.
makes like 80 songs and just releases their good ones when they want to.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's great. Now, what I will say is a more comparable analogy that Ed Freeze could have made is the Apple Arcade or App Store analogy, which was not exactly the same thing, but we see it on the App Store, we see it on Steam, and it's sort of the race to bottom of the barrel pricing. And that's something that we've talked about before as well. It's like in the beginning, and even today, it's very hard to release a $10 game, a $20 game on mobile when mobile games are supposed to be 99 cents or free to play.
Yeah.
Right? And so Apple Arcade comes out and it's like, well, what if you pay $5 a month? And for that $5 a month, we give you a curated selection of very good games.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, that's cool. How much are you paying these developers? Oh, a very good amount. Okay. And you will always pay them that very good amount? It's curated and it flips and it's curated and it's
see the money is actually.
So, you know, I see what Ed Freeze is saying, and it's something that we've said as well, where it's like, I worry that Microsoft will be able to make enough money off of this. They are acquiring so many studios, and I feel like this is like when everything jumped to HD and multiple consoles and people were just acquiring studios, and then they'd make one game and they'd get shut down. Yeah. Like, I'm getting those vibes. And they've acquired some very large studios. And if those studios wind up disappearing in a few years because Gamepass isn't profitable enough, or your game didn't get enough downloads or playtime or whatever the metric is,
right?
And we see some of these big, you know, kind of amazing developers go away, it's kind of a bummer.
It's going to be very interesting to see what the fallout is in the next few years and if people can adapt like a lot of artists have around the Spotify model. You know? We'll see. Calamity Nolan in the live studio audience said, I'm a very small indie mobile dev and I literally can't release a paid game. Even $1, nobody will download it.
Yeah, and I think for indie devs, it's about drive, it's about power. We stay hungry, we devour. But it's about also finding the audience, right? I think the indie audience for a short period of time was on mobile.
Yeah.
And mobile has the potential for the most eyeballs, right? If your game takes off on mobile, you're good. But honestly, right now, I think most of the indie audience is on like Itch, is on like platforms like that, where you're just like, cool, I'll pay you $3 or I'll pay you $5. You'll get fewer eyeballs on it, and it's a smaller audience, but it's an audience that's more likely to be receptive to your product.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Somebody in the live studio audience is saying the Xbox division was saved when it brought over their games to Steam in 2015, and profits increased even more when they created Game Pass. Yes, in the short term.
Yes, absolutely. There's going to be an influx of people subscribing, and then what? Right? So we'll see. And also, that was very profitable for Xbox.
Well, and also, before they went on the massive acquisition spree that they went on. Remember that they've spent a great deal of money.
Yeah, previously they were having to buy rights to those games to put on
And those,
Gamepass.
yeah, and those individual deals, even though you've got to work them all out, do end up, I mean, in the short, like, it's, you know, the economics of it is I would imagine very complicated. It's like, is it better to buy up licensing rights for 50 smaller games or 10 big games or whatever, and then than it is to buy a studio? They're not buying small studios.
No, they're buying sizable studios.
And those studios are all releasing huge games, right? Every time Starfield gets delayed, that's something that Microsoft has to pay for now.
Yeah.
You know, that's the difference here. And what's good is they are buying studios that have decent back catalogs, and they can float off of that for a long time.
Right.
But when does it stop making money? You know, all of this stuff is very profitable in the short term because it's all like, we're all signing up, we're all doing. But think about Netflix.
Yeah.
Netflix is now hundreds of millions of dollars in debt. They've just laid off 150 people, and they're going to be laying off more because it costs a lot to make original content in-house when you can only charge a certain amount for it.
I think that I view Game Pass like I viewed Movie Pass, as like hey, this does not seem sustainable. I have no idea how this will work in any sort of long term. I'm going to enjoy it while it's here, and I'm going to benefit from it for a little while because we're all just surviving under capitalism, BBs. But they are going to have to, and maybe it is the acquisitions that, you know, save them in that other things couldn't do, but woof, we shall see. I want to talk about something that's trending on Twitter right now.
Sure.
We didn't plan to talk about this today, but currently trending on Twitter is a topic of Logan Paul, disappointing as always, having spoken at the Future of Everything Festival with the Wall Street Journal, saying, I, Logan Paul, will be running for president in 2032.
No, you won't.
Now, let's talk about this.
I mean, you might.
Because look, we've had a lot of celebrities say they're going to run for president,
Technically,
right?
anybody can.
And here's the thing. It's very easy to look at this and go, he's not going to do it. But when have we done that before?
He'll do it.
We've said this before. Kanye tried, and he legitimately tried to run. When Kanye said it, I was like, he's not actually going to fucking run for president. And Kanye tried. I'm very glad that Kanye did not get far in his attempt, but he did. Like, he did it. He tried to get himself on ballots. He was on some ballots. It was very confusing at the time. Sometimes he was listed as a vice president, sometimes as not. Exactly. But Donald Trump, we all thought was a joke. We all thought, that asshole's not going to run for fucking president. And we were all sorely mistaken. So maybe this never happens. Look, it's 10 years away because he is not old enough to run for president yet. But making a model where celebrities just come out for a publicity stunt and run for president because of it is the most horrifying, dangerous thing I can think of.
Yeah, it's happened before a few times. I think right now he's clearly, I can't diagnose anybody. I'm not a doctor. He has very narcissistic tendencies, at least publicly, is what it looks like. He'll do it. He'll do it as a goof, but then he'll secretly think that maybe he's good enough and he'll do it.
That's the thing. That's it. And this is very frightening to me that it's become this joke. The fact that there are no qualifications required to run for president is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life.
Look,
the fact that you don't have to have served your community in any way or held any kind of community representative position. How is that a thing?
Well,
how is that a thing?
I mean that in and of itself, like the idea is the government is not corrupt. Anybody can run for president. If you are good enough, you can be president. But
how do you?
But here's the thing. The idea when those sorts of guidelines were made was the people will know when somebody is smart enough to be president. The people will choose who is best for them.
I don't think all people are good enough to be president.
No.
I don't think that.
Neither do I.
I think that you should have to be qualified. Now, the qualifications that our current government would probably require are not the ones that I agree with, right?
Sure.
All that's required is that you have an abundance of money and are at least 35 years old. Those are the only qualifications for running for president in the United States.
And one of those is just implied. only one of them is an actual thing.
But
One
the
of
other
them
is
just
absolutely necessary.
One of them is just an unfortunate thing about our society the way it is right now. I hate that this has become a thing where it's, well, I'm gonna keep saying that I'm running for president because it gets me a PR hit and it sells merch and stuff. And then maybe over time people get used to the idea.
Thank you. Skywalker said, I need 3 references to get a job at McDonald's. How many references does a presidential candidate need?
We've got a guy running for mayor of Los Angeles right now whose sole qualification is he has a lot of money. That's it. He has a lot of money. And let me tell you something. He's got way more support than he should for being a guy that just has a lot of money. Way more support.
Anyway, everybody, remember to vote. Vote in local elections. Vote in every election that you are eligible to vote in to stop these things from happening. If you are in Los Angeles, your ballot should be here. Get your vote in.
And vote for anybody but Rick Caruso.
Anybody but Rick Caruso 2022. Fuck Rick Caruso.
But this is not an It's Too Early. This is not the It's Too Early endorsement. It's the Anthony Carboni endorsement. I can't speak for Saige. Karen Bass.
Bass, baby.
It's Karen Bass.
It's Karen Bass.
Speaking of people that just have too much money to ever get caught or told about anything.
This is what I was going to tell you. At the beginning of the show, when everything was going wrong, we usually have like a few minutes where we just like open up and chat. And I had something I was going to tell Anthony before we went live. And then I was like, never mind, I'll tell you on the show. And now I have remembered because I have seen the thing. Anthony, I'm sitting down yesterday with a friend of mine, and I tried to refer to the Top Gun movie. I don't like Tom Cruise. I don't care about Tom Cruise things. And I was like, oh, the new Mission Impossible, because it's literally all the same thing to me. I know that that is blasphemy to a lot of people. I simply do not care. And I said, oh, the new Mission Impossible. And he was like, there's a new Mission Impossible? And I was like, isn't there? No? Oh, Top Gun. Right.
There's a new Top Gun. No, we are talking about Tom Cruise because this morning, it turns out there is a new Mission Impossible, and the trailer just dropped. I don't know. I've seen, I think, most or all of the Mission Impossible movies. I could not tell you what any of their titles are, or I could not tell you the difference between them. I know one of them was directed by Brad Bird, and Tom Cruise had suction cup hands, and I really liked that one because it was silly, and no one else liked that one.
Thank you, Sarah Good, for acknowledging the true story here. I predicted the new Mission Impossible.
Whoa.
I predicted the new Mission Impossible the day before the trailer release.
Are you a little psychic?
I think I'm a little psychic. Not to be confused for I am only somewhat psychic. I am small and a psychic. It's me,
Wow.
a little psychic.
But do you remember the children's story, The Littlest Psychic?
Yes, it was about me.
This is the trailer for Mission Impossible. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, I guess is the name of it.
Sure, of course it is. Why not?
And it's Dead Reckoning Part 1.
Yeah.
They're doing like a
Good. You've promised me there's more.
They're doing like a Harry Potter thing with it, I guess.
Oh, good. There's so many more Mission Impossibles.
This definitely looks like a Mission Impossible. What do you have to have? You have to have a desert. You have to have a tiny car going through small British roads.
A train.
There has to be a nightclub somewhere there shouldn't be a nightclub. Then a train, and then an endless government shot of like offices.
Yeah, sure.
The concepts
I'm
of
sure
right and wrong.
I've seen a Mission Impossible or two. I could not tell you which ones, and I couldn't possibly bring myself to care.
What I do care about is that Simon Pegg keeps getting that bag. Keep getting that bag, Simon Pegg. Every time a Mission Impossible trailer comes out, I forget.
Little jaw tense.
I forget for a moment that Simon Pegg is in them, and I'm like, oh fuck yeah! Every time one of these comes out, Simon Pegg gets like a couple $1,000,000. Good for Simon Pegg. Good for Ving Rhames. Every time a Mission Impossible calls, Ving Rhames gets like another couple $1,000,000. It's great.
All right.
Is that Rebecca Ferguson? I don't know, maybe. Is that the Duchess of York? Is that who Rebecca Ferguson is? Yeah, it's a Mini. See, that's funny because it's not usually when they're not usually in a Volkswagen or a Mini.
Usually car big, currently car small.
Don't run over any of those candles. We need them for the shot. We do like when a Haley Atwell shows up. We love Haley Atwell getting the bag.
I do like to see cool ladies hit things.
Yeah.
I like that. I would like a supercut of just the women.
Sure.
That's what
He's
I
got to
would like.
ride a motorcycle somewhere a motorcycle would not do well. Every time he's riding a motorcycle somewhere, I'm like, your bike would be so fucked up.
I personally don't want to see Tom Cruise do anything. I just don't have an interest in watching Tom Cruise do anything.
Yeah. I have an interest in Tom Cruise finally being found complicit for his actions in Scientology.
Like, I don't know. Go to jail.
Yeah. It's coming in 2023. When did they start? Oh, this is one of those things. This is the movie he was shooting where he had the COVID robots. You remember this?
Yes.
He had like the robots that were going around testing people for COVID.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking dystopian wherever Tom Cruise goes. Whether it's a dystopian sci-fi movie or not, that's what it is when Tom Cruise is around, which is wild.
That is wild. Well, anyways, I predicted it.
She predicted
That's
it.
the takeaway. Who cares that the new one's coming? What matters is that I predicted it.
Did you predict it? Or unfortunately, Saige, did you make it happen? Does your existence make the Mission Impossibles happen? And if so, do we need to do something about it?
Oh, no. Please.
Will you sacrifice yourself to end Mission Impossible?
Do I take Tom Cruise out with me? My will to live is hanging on by a string, Anthony. Give me this. Because the answer is yes. I'll do it for the hit to Scientology. Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's talk about another piece of exciting movie news.
Mm-hmm.
This came out on Friday, like right after the show, so it's a little bit of old news now, but I want to celebrate it because I'm very, very excited about this. Bong Joon-ho's next movie is doing the sci-fi novel Mickey 7. And Toni Collette's going to be there.
Look at this cast. Toni Collette, Robert Pattinson, Naomi Ackie, Mark Ruffalo. That's a good cast.
That's such an incredible cast. I love Toni Collette. Also,
I love Naomi Ackie. I find Robert Pattinson extremely fascinating.
Very interesting.
And
it's
of course,
such a stacked cast.
And of course, Mark Ruffalo, everybody's soft internet father.
Yeah.
We love this.
I love this so much, and I love Bong Joon-ho. I think this is going to be amazing. I could not be more excited about this. I haven't read Mickey 7, have you?
No, but it's about a disposable employee on a human expedition sent to colonize the ice world Niflheim. Basically, this is another class-based thing from Bong Joon-ho, not a surprise. And it's basically like, hey, all these people that are like, Elon, send me to Mars. This is what it's going to be like if Elon sends you to Mars. You are one of the disposable people in debt that shoots themselves off to the horrible ice planet to build the nice houses for the people with money. So when they get there, it's good.
Y'all, I'm so fucking excited for this.
Colonization has never benefited the initial colonists. It only benefits the wealthy who send them to die and go into dangerous places to take over somebody else's land for them.
I think this movie is going to be fucking incredible. This cast is amazing. It's so stacked. It's so fucking stacked. In other pieces of media news, we're a little over because we got started pretty late today, but we can go a few minutes over.
In other news, we got another brilliant Korean director. Hwang Dong-hyuk, who created Squid Game, is now creating a satirical series about the making and success of Squid Game, the best show on the planet.
So this is specifically about the like virality of Squid Game and the instant success of Squid Game. So the best show on the planet we know very little about so far. But he did an interview with Deadline's Disruptors magazine and was just giving like the tiniest piece of it. It's in early development right now. We don't know where it goes. It's not being like actually made yet. But this could be so good. I love this idea of this like self-referential point of media because the way that media has been consumed for the last like 2-3 years in particular has been very, very fascinating. And like virality of shows had never reached this level before, I think the pandemic even.
Yeah.
There was a level of it that came with the internet and the ability to share what we were all watching and the expectation to all be watching the same thing that elevated just previously from like cable network consumption. But it elevated to such a higher point during the pandemic with these big success shows, and nothing highlights that like Squid Game did.
Yeah, it was basically going back to network TV appointment television, or even something like a Game of Thrones, something where it's like, well, everyone's watching Lost. Well, everyone's watching Twin Peaks. Well, everyone's like, that just doesn't happen as much anymore. And it certainly doesn't happen in a way where it comes out because of the way these shows are released. It's there and people talk about it for 2 months and then it's gone. And I think that's so fascinating. And I would not be surprised if this show gets made, if that's something that's highlighted about it too.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we're the biggest thing in the world. And then there's just like a thing where nobody's watching it anymore. I love the idea of people. I like it when creators and celebrities are able to sort of poke fun at themselves and and their success, and the fact that, you know, a certain amount of this is random, and so we might as well make a little bit of fun of it, you know?
I think it's very interesting. I picture this, and this is simply a headcanon, but like Netflix looking at him and just being like, all right, well, what do you want to do next? And this being the response is so funny to me.
And what's interesting is like, Netflix will do it.
Yeah.
Like, Netflix is the sort, like, they will do it.
Especially given the success of Squid Game.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, but like in a traditional Hollywood or network television system, or even cable television system, if you were like, my next thing, thank you, I did the most popular thing in the world for you, and now you want to make my next project. My next project is a comedy about the thing that I just made for you.
Yeah.
Traditional studios or television networks would be like, no, is there anything else? Don't you want to do something else?
Right. Don't you want to make another little story?
I bet Netflix would just be like, thank God, at least it's not puppets. We'll do anything that isn't puppets. We lost so much money on puppets.
Never again on those puppets. And I think that's probably a pretty good place to leave you for today.
Yeah, and unfortunately, for the next week and a half, BBs.
Yeah, it's almost, is this a little longer? It's 8 shows.
8 shows.
We're going to be on for 8 shows. It's like 2.5
weeks.
Yeah, it's like 2.5 weeks. We're both traveling. We're both working. And we haven't taken a lot of It's Too Early breaks. So it's going to be very, very interesting.
Yeah, so what is the official date that we come back, just so people know?
That is an excellent question. It will be Monday the 13th.
Monday the 13th.
Monday the 13th, It's Too Early will return. So don't go anywhere. Stick around. We will still be available in the Discord if you want to reach us and you want to still talk about the news. We are still happy to be the community that you share these things with, because we very much look forward to getting back to you as soon as possible. And if you haven't already supported us on Patreon, there's a wealth of content there. If you're just missing us a little bit, you can go back for $5 a month and you can get back access.
No, that's what it is. It's back access
to the entire backlog of content that we have made over there. Some of those are just us goofing around about Legos and stuff. So, you know, you can check that out if you want to. If you miss us a whole lot, like we'll be missing you a whole lot.
In the meantime, where can they find you, Saige?
That's an excellent question. You can find me everywhere on the internet at Not Saige. I stream on my channel Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. My schedule will also be a little bit funky coming up because of the travel. But I'm going to try and do some travel streams if I can. I'm going to see if my laptop can hang with at least some just chattings while I'm hanging out in an Airbnb in Georgia. And you can also find me here all the time, including tomorrow at 6 p.m. I know times. At 6 p.m. Pacific. At 6 p.m. Pacific for the Boros Saga Bane's break. We only have like 3 episodes left.
Dun 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 dun.
Dun, 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 dun. Very exciting. What about you, Anthony?
Well, you can find me everywhere on the internet at Carboni, except for here on Twitch, where I'm at Anthony Carboni. Twitch, you cowards, it's mine. Give it back to me. And of course, starting Thursday and all through the weekend, you can find me on the Star Wars YouTube channel, starwars.com. Basically, everywhere Star Wars for Star Wars Celebration. It is a live event. It's a live coverage of the entire 4-day convention. We have so many wonderful things to bring to you. It's a great team. It's me, it's Andy Gutierrez, it's Hector Navarro, it's Christina Ariel, it's Kristen Bever. It's gonna be amazing. It's a big year for Star Wars. A lot of cool stuff is coming out, and so be sure to watch that. Will I be streaming anytime before then? Probably not. I got a lot of Star Wars to worry about.
Yeah, we got a lot of Star Wars coming up. You'll also catch us very soon on the Kind of Funny screencast, recapping the Obi-Wan series together. I'll be there for the first one. Anthony will be back for, technically, what's episode 3. So, all right, everybody, let's go through and thank everybody who supported us. Before we get into the people that supported us monetarily, here's a reminder that showing up and watching the show is literally the best thing you can do.
Yeah.
We get very nervous every time we have to go online that you're not going to show up when we come back. At least I can speak for myself about that.
We make a show so people will watch it, and you come here and you watch it, and that is absolutely wonderful. We could not thank you more for that. We see all of you on Twitter sharing when we go live, sharing clips, just sharing little things. It makes us so happy. And honestly, we are 2 people making this show in a shed. The best way you can help the show, well, I'm going to say tied with money, the best way you can help the show is word of mouth. Yep. Honestly, small shows, small networks get all of their attention through word of mouth. Every time one of you shares something from the network or the show, it makes us incredibly happy, and it brings in another potential BB to join us.
Thank you to Ugly Unicorn and to Pax Kryptonia for sharing some of the stories that we covered in today's show. We appreciate you very much. Thank you for contributing to It's Too Early.
Yeah.
Now,
wait, you can do that in the Discord. That's where they do it. There's an It's Too Early channel right there.
Free.
It's totally free.
It's like Subgate. You don't have to do anything.
Free real estate. Now
we can go through and we can
about
thank everybody. Andrew Boyd, thank you very, very much for gifting that sub. D4 Dustin came in, who I am getting to do some work with very, very soon, and came in while I had that wig on my head.
Perfect.
Unfortunately, which is why I laughed very hard at that. Cute Kelly, thank you for the 4-month resub. Had a name once with the Prime sub. Thank you for taking a little money from the Beezy. Somebody who named themselves No Nice Allowed, ruining the nice number on the tip. Probably not Alonzo.
Skywalker9982, thank you for the gift sub. Jesse PB with that incredibly generous donation of $157, crushing our end of month goal because we're not going to be here for the next 2.5 weeks. That's very so cool kind of you. This money right here, the donation money specifically, is how Saige and I get paid for the show. Everything else goes to the network, so we really appreciate these donations. Cold Shoulder with the resub for 12 months, saying almost a Pixel Circus year. That's true. One more month. This is very kind of you. Thunder Cabbage with the cheer. Gina Marie D with the resub with Prime for 4 months, saying happy to have found you BBs this year. Best company while starting my day at work. Thank you, Gina Marie. We're happy that you enjoy the show. Kurt Thulu gifting 5 tier 1 subs. Thank you so much. Nightcrawler666 with the Prime sub for 10 months, saying help. I still have not found the exit. You never will.
There is no exit.
You are trapped now.
You can check out, but you can never leave.
You can check out, but you can't check in. You can check in, but you can't
check this out.
You can check out, but no pets in the room. If you smoke, they're non-smoking rooms.
This out.
V230 with the resub for 15 months, saying, well, I can't leave now. That would just be awkward at this point. Not that I would want to. Why would you want to?
You can check out any book you like.
But bring it back, because the library is for the whole community.
And it helps.
Scott Davis 136. Thank you for the 17-month sub, saying pizza. Pizza.
Hold on, we didn't rehearse this one. We rehearsed the Hotel California cover, Anthony.
That's right. We've been working on that Hotel California cover for 3 months. Darwin50 with the 100-bit cheer. Fud Daddy with the resub for 4 months. Ooh, we think you might like us. Daniel T315 with a 16-month sub. CyberGamer92 with the 6-month sub. C. Dandino with the resub for 3 months, saying, take that Amazon money back. We're trying. THL Katrina with the resub for 15 months. That's such a long time. Shiny Marigold with the resub for 14 months, saying 14 months in this economy?
Good work, everybody. And
Good
we are
work,
caught up.
everybody.
Thank you so very much for supporting this show. You literally make it possible for us to do this, and we appreciate you so very much. Thank you for bearing with us on the tech issues this morning.
What
so
tech issues?
Appreciated.
Name one.
Can't name a single tech issue. I've never even seen one.
I don't even know what tech is, and that's probably part of the problem.
Uh-oh. We should have learned what tech is. We love you all so much. Take care of yourselves, BBs, and we will see you soon.
Bye, BBs.